Being corrected when you're learning a language. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Dan. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I like to talk about languages, the polyglot journey, and anything related. All right guys, so in my last video, when I talked about readings with audio, I talked about that you can do that activity without correcting. It gave me the idea to do this video, and in fact, this is a really big topic when it comes to language learning, being corrected. Now, to repeat kind of what I said in the last video, it's a mixed bag. Some people like it, they need it. They say, please correct me anytime I make a mistake. But some people don't like it. And for the record, I don't like to be corrected when I'm talking. Yes, in this video, I'm gonna lean towards the side of we don't need to correct people or be corrected. And it's possible to also improve. One thing that I need to clarify before I continue is we're talking about being corrected when you're in a social setting, when you're trying to communicate with other people, not in a strictly educational setting. Now, yes, I have my opinions about that as well, but if you sign up for a course or if you work with a tutor, well, hopefully you guys already understand what the situation is with being corrected. In those settings, it's even more accepted to be corrected when you're speaking. We're only talking about speaking, mainly in the social setting. Even if it's a language exchange event, which is more on the social side than on the educational side. All right, first talking point, shyness or being embarrassed. The Spanish word for vergüenza comes to my mind. So many people say, tengo vergüenza. I take that as I'm really shy, I'm afraid to make a mistake, I don't want to get embarrassed. Now, that right there says a lot. And I would like to get into this topic more about the fear, which I think is the strongest obstacle that prohibits us from making any real progress. So right then and there, when we're in a social setting and we're trying to communicate with other people, we think to ourselves, am I ready to converse? Am I ready to talk? We analyze it a lot. Most of the time, we might just say, you know what? Maybe not. I'd rather not. Let me just hang out, talk in my native language or any of the other languages that I'm strong in and just chill out. But at some point, we're gonna wanna take the dive. We're gonna wanna say, you know what? I'm gonna do it. So we go ahead and dive in to the group of people speaking French or they're speaking Spanish or what have you. And then from there, we're trying to say something, and then every time we try to say a word, every time we're trying to communicate something, somebody interrupts us and they say,
no, it's not like that, it's like this. It's not like that, it's like this.
There's a scenario. And that right there is something that I've seen many times. It's happened to me many times. It clashes. It clashes because we want to take that step to actually go and talk, but then every time we try and do something, we have someone coming in there just kind of like, poking at us. I think it's annoying. I've talked to some other people that also think it's annoying. Actually, most people don't vocalize their discontent for being corrected like how I do. But when people say, I'm shy, I'm embarrassed, I might make a mistake, I take that all the same. Second talking point, improving. Now, the strongest argument for being corrected, once again, in a social setting, it's gonna help me improve. People wanna correct others or they wanna be corrected. However you wanna take it, let's put aside whether or not they like it or not, and let's think, is that really helping? In the moment when you're talking with someone, if you're, for example, at the grocery store, if you move to a new city, you move to Europe, you move to China, you move to a city where you barely know the language and you're right there, what do you care about? You just want to get your groceries, you want to pay the clerk properly, and you want to get out, right? At that moment, who cares about the nuances of the grammar or, the pronunciation of this? We want to express ourselves and be understood. Now, at the core of that, when you want to go get bread and you ask the cashier about bread and they send you over to the dairy section, that right there is an example of miscommunication. And through that example, we learn, all right, through everything that happened here, through the words that I said, through the directions that I was pointed in, I realized that I didn't get what I want. We learn from that. It's harsh. We learn from it. Now let's take a very similar example where we're trying to talk to someone in a social setting, and then, for example, you say something and the person interrupts you and they say, oh no, it's not like that, it's like this. Now in that case, you're just saying words. You guys are at a bar, hanging out with some friends, hanging out in a language exchange, just trying to converse. The only thing that really matters at that moment is that you are being understood. Someone coming in and telling you, hey, you know what? It's not like that, it's like this. You're probably gonna forget. We're gonna forget these things. So, in a social setting where you're constantly being interrupted for trying to speak, this takes us back to point number 1. I theorize that what's gonna happen is a person's gonna shut down and gonna say, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say anything. Maybe I'm not ready. Self-doubt comes in. So, is it really helping us improve? Let's go back to our grocery store example. Yes, it's possible that it can be pretty stressful. The stress level can compare to being in a social setting and being annoyed by someone constantly correcting you and trying to, find bread at a grocery store, and then, you're being sent in a whole other direction. Stress levels, who knows how they compare? But once again, I say that in the grocery store example, we're actually doing more than just talking about something. We're actually living an experience. In that sense, the correction happens in a much bigger picture sort of way. And in fact, I think most of the grocery store example is something that you can laugh about later. Going back to the social situation, if every time you go to this language exchange or that Zoom or this event and you find yourself with someone and it's always a different person each time. It's usually a person, not so much the entire group, but you find them everywhere. So what happens is we start to think, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready yet. I'm not gonna say anything. So is it really helping us improve? Let's go to the third talking point, flow. Now, isn't it funny that the word fluent sounds really close to the word flow? And in many times, when I'm speaking to students, when I'm speaking to other language learners, peers, teachers, I always go back to, you know what? Let's just let the words flow. Let them flow. We're in a social setting, and I'm talking about how I really want to travel to Italy one day. Mi piace molto viaggiare a Italia. I just said that just off the top of my head. Could it be right? Could be wrong? But just let the words flow. Let them flow. As long as the main message is understood, we're gonna feel more confident in saying what we want to say, or at least we're not gonna have that self-doubt that's gonna hold us back. The more we talk, the more we listen, the more we actually do and let the words flow, whether they flow into our ears or even better, flow out from our mouths. Most people say they have a hard time speaking. They have a hard time being able to just sit there when they're looking at something, actually just let the words flow. Yes, we can get nervous. Yes, we might think too much about, what grammar to use. But I think at the root of all that is this fear, right? Again, back to point number 1, this fear of, I might make a mistake. I might embarrass myself, which we can just eradicate if we all help each other just by listening to each other. In my case, when I'm having a conversation with someone that's trying to speak English and I hear them make many mistakes, whether it's pronunciation, different topic, or grammar, or maybe, a word is put in front of another word, I say, hey, if I'm understanding, I'm gonna respond to that person. They say something to me, I'm gonna focus on the message and respond to the message and not nitpick on something that's not gonna matter in the long run. Yes, I want the other person to improve, but I think I do that better by actually communicating with them instead of trying to be some sort of human grammar book. My goodness, that sounded like a rant, didn't it? But it's something that I feel really strongly about, because the way that I see it, if most people that are stronger in the language feel like not only it's their duty, or at the very least it's like something that they can do, so why not do it, correcting the person that's not as strong. And the person that's not as strong, I usually see them, give in to the fear. Let's stop doing that. Just let the words flow, let the person get stronger. In the end, if you truly like to be corrected, if you feel like you need it, then that's something that you can communicate with the person you're talking to in the groups that you visit. You know, in my case, I've jumped into some French groups, some Italian groups, and I just try to talk. Some person of the group starts to come in there. I fight back. I go, hey, I'm learning, let me just communicate. Let me do my best. If you understand me, great. If not, well then I guess then we should talk about it. Because I know what it feels like. For example, with Portuguese, my third language, I remember talking with someone and they would just say to me in English, I do not understand. All right, now when that happens, we gotta meet each other halfway. But now, for the most part, that doesn't happen. For the most part, when I speak Portuguese, the person understands me. Let's keep doing our best, all right? Again, it's all about communication. So whether you like it or not, feel comfortable with setting your boundaries, feel comfortable with expressing to the other person, hey, chill out, or all right, bring it on. Let's keep going. Polyglot mode.